hey Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Benedikt?
I am tired, but other than that, I'm good.
Yes, well, I can't wait to hear why you're tired and talk about all of that. We were saying just a second ago, at some point we should probably record or write an official intro for this thing. What do you think?
I totally agree. And suggestions will come. Hello at what's the name of our
It's
podcast? Slow and Steady Podcast.com. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll try out our first official intro next week. That'll be something we'll write. But yeah, suggestions welcome. Hello at slowandsteadypodcast.com.
Yeah, exactly. And on that point, we are also on iTunes now. Like it took ages to get approved. I have no idea why. Maybe they have to listen to every episode twice.
Yeah.
Or, and yeah, but it's approved. And so you as a listener probably found it already, but you can now tell your friends to search for Slow and Steady in iTunes, and they actually get a result that's actually us and not someone else.
Yeah. You submitted us to a number of other directories too. I was getting some email notifications.
Yes, I basically just took the list from Transistor and started checking it off from the top. But like, I still haven't figured out how to submit to Google Play and Google Podcast. I don't know. There's a form. It tells you put in your feed and then says, yes, your feed is not in our index. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I know. I want to submit it.
Thank you for confirming what I know. Yeah, I know. I remember that being a confusing workflow. I need to set some time aside and do that. Look into that. See if I can help out.
Yeah, I'll try to figure it out again, but so far I wasn't able to.
Yeah. Well, it's because you had an exciting week.
Yes, we had our launch yesterday, and that was exciting. Overall, it went very well. Like I'm happy with the results. At least like vanity metrics side of things. Like we made number 1 on Product Hunt, which was a first for all three of us. So that was exciting. We got a lot of nice comments and feedback, and even some of our existing customers chimed in on Twitter and stuff and shared their reason why they like us and stuff. So that was super nice and a good experience. On the numbers that really matter front, as I said before, we didn't set too high expectations, and that was probably a good thing because we got 9 new trials, and of those only 3 look kind of legit. Like everything else is either people that are obviously just checking out the app or have invalid credit cards and so 9 new trials from the launch, and 3 could actually convert, but who knows? We'll see in 2 weeks.
No, that'll be interesting to follow up on.
Yeah, but overall, that was super exciting. And what was encouraging, that a couple of people said they are considering to switch over from Intercom or other tools once we add in-app messaging, and that's the next thing on the roadmap. So I've got a feeling that we're heading into the right direction, and it would be exciting to get those people on board.
Cool. Yeah, y'all had a bunch of. It looked like you had a lot of really good buzz and some good excitement around it. I was thinking about it, and it reminds me of it's like the difference between the first day of school and graduation, and that you should definitely celebrate launching. Like we all know by now that a big splashy launch, and then the next day, like that's when the real work starts, but that doesn't mean that you should underplay it or, not make a big deal out of it. If it truly becomes a big deal in the way that you all had a successful marketing campaign, a good splash. But the first day of school is way different from graduation. You should
True.
celebrate both. They're both a really big deal. Um, but I think, you know, the idea around launches have maybe gotten some bit of a bad rap because people look at them as if as if it's graduation, and like that's not the point. Like you,
Yeah,
there's a
no.
lot of learning in your future on the first day of school and on
Yes.
launch day. But congrats on it.
Yeah.
Congratulations on a great first day of school.
Thank you.
There's-
Yeah, it definitely feels like the first day of school, in a way. I mean, it's been a while since my first day of school, but it's like it's definitely a new situation now, and I'm excited about like the new stuff we'll learn, because like the closed beta was interesting, and we learned a lot at first, but like in the last 2 to 3 months we didn't learn that much new stuff anymore in terms of like what people need or what we could improve. But now it's like a different situation, and like we never got as many signups as in the last 2 days. Like that alone is interesting to watch, and then we probably get more data about where did they come from, and why are they joining, why are they not converting or
yeah,
whatever. And yeah, I'm looking forward to discovering what we still don't know about our
yeah.
product.
Yeah, for sure. What is your sign up flow? You have, I mean, you can create an account, you can have a trial account. Is there a free setup or a free account creation even prior to like putting in credit card information and starting a trial?
We have a 3-step process. The first one is you create a user account by just entering
Yep.
email, password, and I think your
Yep.
name. And when you submit that step, we create a user account, and then you create your actual company account by providing information for that. And after that, the last step is entering your billing information.
And that point
And
is what you consider the trial begin.
yes, and that's when the trial
Yeah.
starts. And from that moment on, it's like 14 days free trial.
Cool.
And we got more signups than like 9, but a lot of the people just stopped at step 3, enter your credit
Yeah.
card.
Gotcha.
That's where we lost them, but no surprise
Yeah,
there.
right. No surprise. Well, it'll be interesting to see what your how your numbers look from all of those from the signups. If those end up trickling into some trials and accounts.
Yeah, yeah. We had a basic sign up abandonment campaign in place, but we rewrote like one of the emails in there today to basically make it basically address the elephant in the room. We know you don't want to enter your credit card. Here's why you still should. And yeah, we see how that works.
Yeah, keep us posted. Well, were there things that people were asking for that you're not planning on doing?
um, Not really. I think in-app messaging was the most important thing. And other than that, I can really think about anything that came up. What came up a lot of times was like, why should I use you instead of Intercom or Customer IO and stuff like that? So we had to explain our reasoning there from time to time. But yeah, I'm not sure we convinced those people, but I mean, we have our reasons why we think we are better for some people or some users.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I mean, so in-app messaging is I mean, that feels like that's a pretty hefty uh piece of functionality to add, right?
Yeah, it is. I already spent like 4 to 6 weeks trying to come up with a
Mhm.
prototype, but like it's a very, very basic prototype that's not connected to the actual app in any way. And getting that built and integrated, that will be a challenge. But it's probably the right move, because it will set us apart from other tools like Drip or ConvertKit, like make the difference a bit more obvious there. It will also move us closer to Intercom, which I'm not entirely sure is a good thing, because then like the differentiation between the two gets more, like the line gets more blurred. And like I'm pretty sure, like feature wise, we'll never be able to convert with to compete with Intercom, just because, like, I mean, they have a head start of like, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years. They've been around for
even longer than that, actually, I think. And but that's
it's like
but I mean, I think
yeah,
your point of differentiation will be that it's easier to use. Like,
yeah, definitely. That's at least the goal. But I feel like some people, like the easier to use argument doesn't really work, or usually doesn't work as well for people who are just starting out and are just like, okay, I have to set up a tool. It's my first time. Which one do I choose? Like,
yeah,
do I go with this one tool that has like 1,000 features,
yeah,
or this other tool that has like half the features, but it's the same
yeah,
price, or I don't know, close to the
yeah,
price? And I feel like a lot of people will go with a more powerful tool, only to realize
yeah,
a couple of months or years in that, okay, I'm just using 10% of the features and I'm always overwhelmed by the user interface. And maybe then realize that the simpler tool would be the better choice. So I'm, not sure
yeah.
if that's,
Yeah, you're
helping
totally
us.
right that the easier to use argument is so subjective.
Yeah.
And while it might be true, it's usually not like I just read April Dunford's book, Obviously Awesome, over the weekend. And she kind of I wish I'd had the book in front of me so I could go back and like find the page where she talks about this, but um, that sort of positioning statement, even though it might be true, intercom is clogged with features at this point, um, and it's actually quite expensive. Um, but that even though that easier to use might be true, she gave a really great argument for why you should just don't handicap yourself. Like, don't like put yourself in that position to be arguing from that feature set, or from that benefit. So that was I I had to agree with her, but at the same time I was like, ah, I hate to hear that that's true, because that feels like uh, such a real experience for me, is when I try different things out. It's like, well, I actually don't want the one that has a feature list, 80 check marks long. If I only want 7 of them, it's hard to, like you were kind of saying, it's hard to know that until you've experienced the tool and used it.
Yeah. And I think that, like, yeah, I think that comes with experience. Like, when you're first starting out looking for a tool like this, you don't know what you actually need, and you only will realize over time what's actually
Mhm.
important. And yeah,
Right. Well, so what else from your week?
we had a fun weekend before that, or I had a fun weekend before that, because like on Friday we really started to get into performance issues. Like,
Oh boy.
um, we had we had a new trial customer, and they instantly started sending, like, they connected via Segment, like, and got it up and running within, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. But then, like, they opened the floodgates and just sent over users and event data, and we were kind of overwhelmed by that, didn't expect that. And like, one of the background jobs that processes like new users and like notice, there's an update to the user, I should probably check all the segments they have, if the user is now moving from one segment to another, and stuff like that. And I always knew that that particular job wasn't the fastest one, but it was usually no problem.
Mhm.
But with them, like they started sending thousands of users and also had created like 20 or 25 segments. So whenever there was an update to a user, it would check like 20 segments in not the most performant way possible. So like this one job that runs a million times took up to a minute.
Wow.
And after no time, we had like a queue of I don't remember the exact number, but a lot of stuff stuck in the queue, and basically everything coming to a halt and nothing ever working again. And with that, the Redis server that stores the background queues, I don't know, it ran out of connections, so it at some point just refused to accept new connections, which then caused the website to fail. And like it was like bam, with one moment to the other, stuff started to break.
Did you know?
Luckily,
did you notice this right away? Were you kind of watching it, or did you start getting all these notifications? And
I was asleep while this was happening, so it happened, of course, in the middle of the night. And I woke up to a ton of emails from the monitoring tools, letting me know that there's stuff going on. And it took me like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours to figure out like a better solution. And in hindsight, it's just stupid that I didn't implement it that way from the get-go. But the other code was so easy to read, so it was very, very obvious what's happening, but it was like it wasn't a good implementation. But like it was interesting, like the entire situation of like being in this high stress scenario of an ongoing outage, more or less. That was something I haven't been in for quite a while. Like this was the first time back after 2-3 years. I don't know. I don't remember the last time where I had to deal with it.
Or you were the point person on an extended outage like that.
Yeah. And then like shortly before realizing the extent of the problem, I also answered a support ticket, and they had like a small fix. Like they basically just wanted a list sorted in a different way in the user interface. So of course I just went in there, made a small fix and deployed it, and then went back to focusing on the performance issue. And while I was working on it and realizing that this is actually a big problem and nothing's working right now, then Jane sent a message, hey, did you notice that the website, like the user interface, doesn't work anymore?
Oh, my word.
So my small fix actually broke something and I didn't realize it. So I was like getting like, okay, refocus, like what's next? And just like the situation was kind of overwhelming at that point. And I mean, in the end, it's not like life and death, and there's no reason to get as stressed as I was. But like, I don't know. It's
I mean, well, when it rains, it pours. So
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, man, when you're in the center of that, and you've got a completely broken UI, that's your responsibility. You have this other massive like outage going on over here. It's true in the end. I mean, we're building software. We aren't, heart surgeons. But in that exact moment when you feel like my name and like my, you know,
yeah,
my reputation's on the line for getting this fixed or something, like it does feel so intensely stressful.
Yeah, it's super stressful. And it was like a good reminder, like that we need processes around that. And in the end, I mean, like while everything was like all of this was going on, Jane asked questions about totally unrelated stuff, and no blame on her. It was just too much, and it got a little snarky. But in the end, I mean, I just realized that it's so important to be very clear about all of this in a way that like everyone in the team has to know that there's a problem right now, and this is like a extraordinary situation, and just like communicate that fact, because of course she didn't know that I was like trying to extinguish fires here and
Yeah.
there, because like, I mean, we're a remote
Yeah.
team. All
Right.
she sees is, oh, Benedikt's online in Slack. I can probably ask him a
Right.
question, and that's totally fair. But like, I should have probably just like send a message and like, hey, we have a big problem and
Mhm.
whatever. And yeah, as I said, it was a nice learning
Right.
experience. I just wish it wouldn't be like 4 days before our launch date.
Yeah, I mean, so those 2 things happening at the exact same time, stressful. I mean, that's a major incident, period. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
for it to be just a few days before your launch. Oh, great.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. And
So in the I mean, so did the customer say, "Hey, thanks, but no thanks," and moved on, or did you get it resolved? Like, where does all that stand? How are you feeling about it?
like that one performance issue, were able to resolve that within, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. And the new implementation is so much better. Like, it's super fast. It can now evaluate the segments for like all users and all segments across the entire user list database in about, I don't know, 8 seconds or so.
That's
So
so
it
better.
was worth
So better.
it was worth the time spent on
Uh,
it. But like the high load from that customer that continued until Monday, no, actually Tuesday morning, because like they were still trying out the tool and sending data, and not blaming them. I mean, it's just like they have a very successful app, obviously, and also had apparently a very well thought out segment integration. They were tracking a lot of stuff, and even more than we were able to. Like, the segment was sending more events and information than we would actually process. Like, they would send over page views and stuff
okay.
like that. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to process page views for us. So we were just dropping those. But I mean, it's the requests that hit our
Right.
servers.
Right.
And at some point we were like processing like 50 requests per second, which isn't a lot for some people, but for
Yeah.
us,
No,
like, just starting
it
out, this
it's
was
all
like, okay,
yeah, it's all relative. It's all relative.
something's up.
Yeah.
And in the end, they canceled their trial and then also disconnected the segment account. Um, but that was only like Tuesday morning, and I was kind of relieved at that point,
Yeah.
even though it was like we held up pretty well. Like, the system was processing the data and didn't fall over. But still, who knows? I
Mhm.
mean, whatever happens on the launch day, maybe we get 5 more of those customers, and I'm pretty sure that then at that point, stuff would start to break again. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I had an eventful week.
Eventful and some learning and some champagne popping.
Yeah, yeah. Jane actually bought a bottle of champagne and popped it on our Zoom call. That was fun.
That's awesome. I saw a photo of that on Twitter. That's great.
So how was your week?
Um, it it was a good week in terms of my overall, you know, my overall picture of how I am being a self-employed person. Um, uh, so all of my pretty much all my creative energy this week went into redesigning and relaunching my consulting site. And so I was talking through this with a former coworker, just asking like, "Hey, Mel, how are things on your side?" Um, and it kept coming back to to the feeling of what we have talked about now several times of yes, no, seriously, how am I going to continue to run a profitable business while I try to get a SaaS product up and running? Like, it is just famously just takes a long time. And so I was trying to identify, in a given week, why is it so hard for me to set some time aside and and move feature audit forward in any way. And so I've been thinking about that personally, and then also in talking through it with this friend, and I just realized like pretty much all of my clients they're custom engagements, which on the one hand is good, like you're able to charge a higher ticket price, and so you have to sell less of them, but um, it takes pretty much all of my creative, like, brain power, because every single one is different, and in order to deliver for them, I basically have to function as an employee of theirs,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
as not as somebody who is just running through a refined professional process that if these are the challenges that you're facing, here's how we're going to go about it, and here is the deliverable. Does that fit for you? And if it doesn't, then all good. We're not a fit. Um, and so, like, not to cop out at all, but this week I genuinely felt like made some progress on behalf of the SaaS product by spending a ton of time looking over my site, how, like, all over the place it was, and trying to start to get much more niche. And it still has a little bit to go, or still has some ways to go, but I've got some stuff that's in the works that I haven't pushed to production yet. But basically, I mean, trying to go the route of I know that Jane has taken them off now, because she got features, user lists now, but in the way that she just had those, like, priced packages, of productized services, like, here's what you can get from me. Um, and I'm not sure to what degree there were probably custom engagements that would come in and out of there as well. But that is my strategy right now. And how can I restructure my personal business so that I just need more brain power and energy reserved
yeah,
to be able to
yeah.
want to, dig into feature audits code for, 4 hours in a day. And yeah, I'm not 24 anymore, or even 30, where it's just like, oh yeah, I've got that energy, I can tap into that. It's just I need to be a lot more thoughtful about it. Anyway, so that's kind of like the at a higher level strategy of this whole process of what I'm trying to go through and share openly here. We'll see, like, where it all ends up. But that's the progress. That's the biggest step of progress I made this week, was burning down the old site, launching a new one that I can update much more quickly, and I feel like uh, just feels a lot easier to use. My previous site was on WordPress, which had just become really kind of it just wasn't a joy anymore to work on. And I rebuilt my new site in Statamic, which is a Laravel based CMS by Jack McDade, and it's delightful. Like, from a developer experience standpoint, like, it's just really nice to work on. And so I feel like I'm going to get some momentum gains from that.
Yeah, I feel like that's an important part. Like, if it's a pain to update your website, you're even less likely to do it. So might as well optimize for that a bit.
Yeah.
So I noticed you changed the design. It definitely looks different than before. But, like, content-wise, did you change anything? Like, I don't notice that many
Yeah.
changes.
The
I'm not too familiar with your website, to be
No, no,
honest.
no. I mean, the initial pitch and funnel, is I wouldn't say it's significantly different. It's not entirely different just yet, but that's because I've got some unpublished work on my local machine right now. My first thing was wanting to get um, just get the new design up and out, so that as I make these smaller changes or continue. content changes, it will feel easier. I took a ton of my articles and newsletters and put it into an ebook, which is now like the primary call to action on the homepage. Did a ton of like migrated completely away from ConvertKit onto ActiveCampaign, like a bunch of like behind the scenes, lead like funnel work that isn't seen exactly in the site that I additionally did. That's all incorporated and part of it now. So so the design is entirely different. The beginnings uh, of the funnel are starting to come into place. The final piece that I need to refine and publish are the exact packages. And so, like, what sort of workbook, course, and higher level, but like productized service that it's some like $2,000 to $5,000 price point as the biggest to buy. And so there's this guy, Jonathan Stark. JonathanStark.com is great. I've been really enjoying his resources there. So I've been going through those as I've been thinking about how to restructure or reposition my offering.
Can you already share some like the packages you're thinking about, or the productized services you're considering?
Yeah. So the thing I want to offer at like for $49.50, it's a customer insights package. And this is something that I've done custom, many times, but each time the proposal is a little bit different or thought through in a different way. But basically, we're going to interview 5. I'm trying to decide like 5 or 8. Like, really to like act, you need 5. Does 8 feel better? Like that's kind of a subjective thing. But a suite of interviews, you get those recordings, you get a screencast of me talking through those observations, and like a nice deliverable of, this was a customer insight, here's how it can be pulled into your site. Here's an insight, here's how it can be pulled into your application. Here's how it fits into your overall product strategy. And so that requires a lot of work and thinking on my part to do. But the process itself would be the exact same, every single time. That would be the highest thing. A step down from that is like how would you do that yourself? Here are all of the resources that you would need. This is how you run interviews. Here's the checklist for how you schedule them. Da, 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 da. Just like a big like resource list, and you know I don't know, some number of hours of recorded videos of me like walking through each of those. So and then the further step down from that would be just like, here's just a workbook. So like $49, $490, $49.50. Like roughly, like that's just like literally what's sketched out on a sheet of paper somewhere in my backpack right now. So that's what I'm trying to sort out and offer. How does that
Sounds a bit
strike
like,
you? Be honest. Hell, save me.
I'm wondering, like, it sounds a lot like you're transitioning into an info product business. Is that the case? Like, is deliberate?
At that highest level at $49.50, then that's like I would be doing that work. Dude, if it turned out that I was able to convert brianray.com into an info products business, that would be great with me because that scales. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just wondering if, like, it sounds like the top tier package is basically what you're doing now, but just like under a different label or more streamlined. Yes. But like the lower tier levels, like how much of those do you still have to build? I'm a bit worried that you're just starting like an entirely new thing that will take you, I don't know, half a year to a year to just like I don't know,
Yeah.
write all the worksheets, record all the
Yeah.
videos, whatever that involves, and then like hopefully it works out, but who knows, right? And is this really? I mean, I like the idea in a way, but is it really helping your goal of having more time for feature audit?
Yes, because so this is so great. Okay, because like my thinking of I need to do something over here so that revenue continues to come in from the consulting practice or from, from my business with less um repeated and creative effort on a weekly basis.
Yes,
And your
yes.
concern is, dude, that's going to take you a long time just to get that in place and successful. That's you're just moving in a different direction just as slowly.
Yeah, at least for like the lower tier packages,
Mhm.
like those sound like something you still have to invest time in to actually get to a level where you can sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I wonder if it would be a better choice to like try to productize more of the things you do right now and just like figure out streamlined processes for that.
yeah. I'm probably I'm probably being a little too optimistic um about how much, because those things that I'm talking about, like worksheets and whatever, like I have those because I've used them with clients. And so I'm let's see, if I'm right, then it's fine. I'm just going to like take the things that I've done before, clean them up a little bit and then offer them for sale. If I'm being optimistic, then I'm underestimating how much custom customization of those things I've done each and every time. Hmm. Okay. That's good pushback. Um, for me to but yeah, be a little bit more realistic with myself on how how much effort. I think so. Let me just say this real quick. I think the reason that am going toward that seems attractive is having like multiple tiers to bring people through. Like because if I could, if you could sell two of that top tier thing a month and handful of other things, cool, fine, like done.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean I agree on that part. It sounds like a good funnel or like a good
Ladder,
a good
yeah,
ladder
good product ladder.
through your
Yeah,
offerings. Um, and it's also good that you already have like some of the worksheets and stuff in place. That's a good thing. So that resolves my worries about like the lower tier and the higher tier. But the middle tier with the videos,
yeah.
I still
Okay.
think that's probably you're underestimating that part.
Yes.
Like
All right.
taking what you already have, cleaning it up, and putting it up for sale. That sounds reasonable. I think you could do this in I don't know 2 or 3 weeks. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And but maybe the starting point is to like package up those worksheets and focus on the service
Mhm.
offering and launch that and then see what happens.
Yes.
And then you can reconsider if it's
Yeah.
worth the middle tier.
Yeah. Launch,
Like I feel like you can spend so much time on recording
no
videos
doubt.
and coming up
Yeah.
with a course or
Okay.
whatever.
So launch without the middle tier is your suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
I'm not sure if it's like from product tier perspective if it's like the best choice, but like time investment wise, I definitely
Mhm.
skip that middle part for
Okay.
now.
I think you're right. Okay. Yeah, that was great. Thanks. Okay, well listen, man, so we're practically out of out of time I think for this episode.
Yes.
But the other big takeaway that or that from this week for me is just like I really need a co-founder on I really need a co-founder on this. And so maybe we can open next week's episode with like a deeper conversation about co-founders. How do you find one? When is when is going solo the right thing for you? When should you find a co-founder? Do you have any immediate thoughts on? or initial thoughts on that?
No.
Nothing that can be summarized in 45 seconds.
I think it's a good idea to discuss this in the next episode, because I've been in both shoes, but I never thought it through entirely. But like, I think it's a good discussion for next week, and then like just try to unpack it and see what the pros and cons are for both approaches.
Great. What a fantastic teaser cliffhanger we left
amazing
listeners with. We are such audio professionals, Benedikt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, congrats so much to you and to Jane and to Claire on successful launch day. Fantastic work. Good luck, and can't wait to just follow along with everything y'all are doing.
Yeah, I'm happy to share what will happen in upcoming months.
All right.
Cool.
Okay, well, thanks so much. Thanks, listeners. We'll catch you next week.